Welcome to the Brandon Powell College Football Show, the pregame show for this Friday at 8 p.m. It should read 8 p.m. because there's no way I'm getting back up the mountain at 7 p.m. Should be 8 p.m. Friday at, 7 p.m. It'll be Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and Saturday on Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Friday at 7 p.m. Saturday at 10 a.m. will be our late games, and mostly our late games. So here's what you see here. We're going to go over all the games and where everybody is. As you can see, the rankings on the left-hand side. Notre Dame, the top spot, 1966 Notre Dame. We're going to go over the rankings, a little bit of the stats, but the game's coming up. And we're going to preview that for the look for the greatest college football team between 1966 and 2011. Next year, it'll include every single team, including 2020, but this year we go to 2011. So we do that, we scratch out some of the bottom dwellers, and then we come through and we put some more in. So Notre Dame now is first. If you have a question or comment, feel free to type it in. I'm going to be a little bit slow in responding because there is a delay. So if you would like to be heard a little bit, please type in whatever you want to type in, and I'll respond to it. It's kind of like, I guess, a call-in show. We're going to have stats, facts, and figures everywhere, and it should be a lot of fun. So Notre Dame is first. 1985 Michigan is second. Jim Harbaugh, 9-0-1 Miami. A lot of people thought that they were national champion materials. They won one game. They're third all in the rankings. The top 10 goes 96 Ohio State is fourth. 1974 Oklahoma is fifth. And 1993 Florida State goes sixth so far. West Virginia of 07 is right behind Auburn. Auburn of 10, that's Cam Newton's Auburn, is seventh. West Virginia is eighth. Now, 1995 Nebraska, a lot of people feel Nebraska could also be another great one to try and win it all. They're ninth, and number 11 LSU, number 10 is 2011 LSU. They are 10th. 1981 Pittsburgh probably had the best showing defensively and one of the worst showings offensively as they won 19-7. They threw 8 interceptions and had a fumble. They had 9 turnovers. But when you only give up 33 yards, that's it. You only give up 33 yards. That is huge. That is gigantic. So when you take a look at the season standings very early on, let's take a look at first last week's games. Last week's games, you could see that LSU beat Notre Dame 27-10. 81 Texas got killed by Ohio State 20-3. Remember, Ohio State won a national title that year. 1998 Ohio State beat 1989 Notre Dame 14-7. You see Miami beat Southern Cal 28-24. That was 1986 Miami. The Vinny Testaverde 6 interceptions in the Fiesta Bowl. USC beat Alabama. 04 USC only scored 13 points and only had 1 touchdown. That's how good Alabama's defense is. Notre Dame is 73. They played 67. Tennessee 14-7. You take a look at the Southern Cal Derby 19-14. That's at Pitt, Alabama. The Pitt Alabama game. Pitt has really 80 and 81, one of the best defenses. 81 has Dan Marino playing a more prevalent role than 1980 when he first came in, and he was the quarterback there. Marino, he came in, and Marino here in 81, he played a way more prominent role. We'll get to that other game. Boise State beat Florida. Boise State of 06 beat Florida 20-14. It was one of the best games. You could go back and watch it. We had the ending into that game. That was one of the better games I've seen in a long time, and they held off Florida. Tim Tebow will now sit, and Chris Leak will get the start for Florida coming up this week. Now, Oklahoma again beat TCU. TCU, very offensive team. Now, 3 overtimes. At Arizona Stadium, it was back and forth. It was crazy. Georgia and Arizona, Herschel Walker, the winning two-point conversion, because you have to from the third overtime on. And they win 28-26. Arizona looking for revenge this week. Penn State 51-0 last week. Syracuse, I don't know if they're that bad. I think Penn State is just that good. You remember Penn State against USC in the beginning of the year. USC was 14th ranked in 1994, and they destroyed them. We don't know how good they are. We're going to see them this week. Arizona State wins. Oregon State beat Kansas. Not many people know about this Oregon State team of 2000. They were good. They were solid. Doug Flutie and then 88 Notre Dame, man, they went back and forth. Back and forth, back and forth. It was a crazy game. And turns out that Notre Dame wins 45-38. Southern Cal beat Alabama 21-7. That was 2011 Alabama. So that is simply number one. You take a look. I'm going to go through these a little bit quicker. Florida State and Pitt. I'll highlight some of these games. Florida State and Pitt. Oh, was that a tragedy? Up 21-2 in the fourth quarter, Florida State. Pitt came all the way back, and they led 22-21 to kick off. Went to Tamarick Vanover, and he went 90-some yards for a touchdown with under a minute to go on the kickoff. And if you're a Pitt fan, that was devastating. If you're a Florida State fan, that was incredible. And Florida State, and that's 1992. Penn State beat 87 Miami. 87 Miami's 0-2 because they played a kickoff classic in week 0. So they played that kickoff classic, and they lost by 2. So they've lost 2 big games by 2 points apiece. USC and Houston. Houston in 1990 is going to be one of those teams that scores about 8,000 points this year and gives up about 9,000. Alabama, Florida State. You see Florida State winning that one. West Virginia winning. Taking a look down, you see Alabama beating Michigan State. Michigan State is 66, not a bad football team. They could surprise you. Taking a look at other things, I think Colorado and Oregon in the bottom right at Autzen Stadium, that's big. Like, really, nobody scored in the fourth quarter there. Colorado had a big lead in the first quarter, and then they couldn't hold it. Colorado's not that bad. They could sneak up and beat some people. You see 82 Penn State, they're 0-1, and they have, we're going to get to that game a little bit later on, Texas and Auburn. That was in week 1. Texas of 09, beating Auburn in overtime. Boy, every win is such a difficult feat. Again, if you have any comments or anything, leave them in the comment section, and I'll respond to them. Taking a look at the third, you can take a look at these. Florida of 08 beat Nebraska of 97. That was a comeback by Nebraska, almost all the way. And Michigan of 85, they swamped Georgia of 1980. Georgia 1980 was a national champion. They swamped them 30-3. LSU beat Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, Michael Vickton started out really good. And Notre Dame of 1977, they're a little bit of a dark horse. Same with Washington of 1991. People forget how good and solid that team was. 99 Florida State, they beat Oklahoma by 7. Texas of 05 beat Miami 21-19. Really contrasting styles here. 74 Oklahoma beat 70 Nebraska in our broadcast game 31-3. And Arkansas beat Notre Dame 10-6. So as we take a look here, we're going to go to the games for this week. Number 2. So there we go. Alabama and Miami. Well, this is what we were talking about. Alabama in 1977 against 1991 Miami. I remember Miami and Washington split national titles. I don't know, really. I think Alabama looks good on this one. A lot of key players. They run a very ball control offense. Miami is a very balanced football team. Of course, Alabama, the favorite by 11 right now early. Florida 96, a favor of 1 over 92 Alabama. That team with a very good defense that lost to USC. Boy, my goodness, 0-4 USC and 96 Florida to start. I mean, Alabama might be the best 0-2 team in history if they can do it. You can see their defense very good at the point, 165 yards defensively, and they look good. There we go. I had to make windows a little bit shorter here. But you take a look at, it's just going to be their quarterback. I think it was Brian Barker, their quarterback. And he has to really, he has to get a little bit more passing yards. He really does. Their rushing is very good. Their passing is so-so. They got to go get a little bit better. Again, leave your comments in, and we will get to them if you want to comment. The third one, 89 Tennessee. They're going to be at 78 Alabama. And Tennessee is a 2-point favorite. This Tennessee team is very, I should say, now don't go left and right, because left and right, it doesn't mean the team. Alvin Harper is on Tennessee. People see the Tennessee and the Alabama. That's his favorite and underdog. Tennessee, see where it says Tennessee and Alabama in the upper right-hand corner. That correlates to the players on the left. So Alvin Harper was on Tennessee. Don't go by the favorite and underdog. A lot of people do that. It's like, what in the world? And then they look underneath, they go, oh, Alvin Harper. Sometimes it's flipped. But anyway, Tennessee, and you can see the standings of all the other teams involved in this. Tennessee, Alvin Harper, of course, he played for the Dallas Cowboys. He was very good. And then when we go to Alabama 1978, just a very solid team. Remember, they had the goal line stand against Penn State. That game is really a toss-up. Tennessee might be able to pull one off here. That would be big. Alabama, again, at home against 05 USC. They're saying 1979 Alabama. And this is one of those times. Matt Leinart did not play for Alabama. Notice underneath, don't go by the favorite and the underdog. Go by where it says USC underneath. And then you could see Alabama. Again, you could see they're a very powerful team. They can pass, they can go long, they can run very well. They just can't protect the quarterback. They'll give up the big sack. And they're a very offensive, very, very offensive team. You take a look at total yards, 682 yards. It was USC beating Houston 49-42 last week. So remember that. Defensively, well, no. That wasn't that USC team. That was, I think, 04 USC. This USC team just dominated. They're a very good offensive team, but Alabama is the favorite. Alabama is the favorite right here. A very good, solid rushing team. Alabama, 9-point favorite at home. We're going to see how that works. The next game, Auburn. This is Cam Newton's Auburn against 02 Ohio State. Both were national champions. Cam Newton, you can see in the upper right-hand corner. And Auburn's going to be at home. Who knows with Auburn? I look for Auburn to really play well, but who knows? Who knows? They defend that run-pass option well, 2002 Ohio State. Taking a look again at the next game, this is Boise State, the Miracle Boise State Broncos. They're going to host 1986 Penn State. And Penn State in 1986, national champions. And Boise State last week beat Florida. They beat Florida, an unbelievable game last week. That was incredible. If Boise State can win this, they'll be 2-0, and people will be talking. They will be. Going to the next game really quickly, Oklahoma and Colorado. Oklahoma a 6-point favorite over Colorado. And Colorado almost beat Oregon last week. They're an underdog sleepy team. Don't be surprised if Colorado doesn't beat Oklahoma there. Florida of 06 and Miami against Chris Lee. Ken Dorsey is the quarterback for 0-0 Miami. 06 Florida is Chris Leak. He is the quarterback there. Tebow sits, and Chris Leak will come in. Very big game, and Florida will have a 3-point favorite on 0-0 Miami. Of course, 0 Miami, a very good football team there. Going to the next one. This is Florida against Pitt. Tim Tebow's Florida against Pitt, the heartbreak Pitt Panthers, who might win this game. We don't know. We got to take a look. They can't turn it over. That's the biggest thing. If they keep the turnovers down, you see total yards for Pitt. Passing, you see it is down. Rushing, it is up. They have Tony Dorsett, and Dorsett is easily one of the best players ever, period, end of statement. Tim Tebow is very good here for the Gators. They're 1-0, and they look in a big, big game. That's really big. We go to the next one. This is Georgia. Arizona and Georgia. Again, another Arizona-Georgia sort of matchup. Herschel Walker again against Arizona. Arizona 1-point favorite at Georgia. So they just lost to another Georgia team. Another Herschel Walker Georgia team. I think that was the 81 Georgia Bulldogs. So now they play 82, and it could be absolutely insane. Kansas, they're 8-point underdogs to LSU at home. And that's going to be very big. LSU can springboard off, but Kansas, this is their only entry, could be very, very big. And LSU, you can see the 5-yard range. Ohio State in 1998, Joey Germain, he's going to be the starting quarterback, and they're going to be able to, they're going to be on the road at LSU, so that's going to be crazy. That is also an early game. Another LSU game, LSU a 2-point favorite over 95 Florida. Over Matt Flynn's 95 Florida. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Matt Flynn is LSU. Over Danny Werfel's 95 Florida. And 95 Florida and 07 LSU. That game should be good. That should be good. Not 96. This is 1995, the year before. But that's when Florida had some just absolutely dominant teams. Absolutely dominant teams. So if you have anything you want to say, feel free to put it in the chats. Feel free to ask a question. Feel free to do what you want to. I'll answer it as long as if it's a normal question. 0-1 Miami, the team that many feel they're third ranked. They play Florida State, a big rival. They're at home. Believe me, the field will say Miami. They're just painting it right now. I made sure of that. And Miami a 12-point favorite over Florida State. And that's going to be big. Going to the top row here we go. And USC against 1983 Miami is Southern Cal, a 4-point favorite over 1983 Miami. Alabama again against 96 Florida. I'm sorry, I had, there we go. Auburn against 02 Miami. And 02 Miami is a 15-point favorite over 93 Auburn. You remember Auburn went undefeated, and everybody said, oh, give them a shot at the national title. Well, they got blown out week 1, and they got 02 Miami. That is very big. We got to see about that. Taking a look now at the next one, Michigan, a 97, a 3-point favorite over 84 Washington. Both teams 0-1, but 97 Michigan won a national title. Charles Woodson there. And Washington of 1984, they're the team that was runners-up to BYU. They were runners-up to BYU, and that was, when BYU won it all. Houston and 1985 Michigan. Well, this is going to be an interesting matchup. Jim Harbaugh for Michigan. Michigan is a 22-point favorite over Houston. But let me put it to you this way. Houston is one of the best passing teams. If they get in a run-and-gun craziness, or they stall a couple times, and Houston just picks them apart defensively, oh, my God. There's a lot to Houston. So I would just say when it comes to Houston and Michigan, yes, Michigan a 22-point favorite. But don't count them out right now. Don't count out Houston immediately. And Nebraska, Ohio State and Nebraska. Nebraska is a 18-point favorite over 1968. Nebraska 1995, possible national champions. They won the national championship 62-24 against Florida. There was never any doubt in that game. The Tommy Frazier great run. And when you go from there, my goodness, they're a great option team. 70 Nebraska, 10-point favorite against 04 Auburn. Looking good there. The other ones, some of these I'm just gonna go by real fast. 71 Nebraska, 15-point favorite over 88 Miami. I think a lot of people inflate how good Miami was in the scope of college football history. Miami had some absolutely awesome talent, but then when you break it down, they had some Hall of Famers, they had some noticeable names. But then again, they have Steve Walsh as a quarterback. You know, you have a lot of people for Nebraska, and you might say, well, who are they? Well, let's put it this way. It's all about the wishbone and the team and stuff like that. So they work together in a wishbone, and they just mow down the speed of Miami. And the power just dominates the speed. Again, when you are a bulldozer, you know, in football, you could be a bulldozer. You could be caught in football. It's easy. You could be caught. You have to be stopped, though. It's not just being caught, it's being stopped. At Notre Dame, a 14-point favorite for 1970 Notre Dame against 75 Arizona State. They're looking good. Arizona State kind of a wild card in this whole thing. Notre Dame is 66. That's Terry Hanratty. They're number one. They play 1980 Georgia. They play them at home. Let's see what they do. Notre Dame, such a power, number one. Well, you know, they're trying for that number one seed. Oh, my goodness, that would be huge. Now, Ohio State. They're a 4-point favorite against 2000's Oregon State. 2000 Oregon State is a solid football team. They're going to give Ohio State of 1973 all sorts of problems here. Taking a look again, this is going to be 86 Miami against 06 Ohio State, and 86 Miami. That's the Vinny Testaverde. I got to take a look. 86 Miami might be playing twice. Who knows? Against Ohio State. And no, I think it was 86 Penn State that I was seeing before. So 86 Miami, a very good football team, a 12-point favorite against 06 Ohio State. We take a look at that possibility. That'll be big. That's a huge game. Oklahoma now, a 5-point favorite over 81 Clemson. I think Oklahoma of 2000, that's a Josh Heupel. Josh Heupel, a 3-point win in the first game against Tennessee, against 89 Tennessee. So I believe they went to overtime in a kickoff classic. They played their first game there. A solid thing there. USC, 71 Oklahoma is an 11-point favorite against 04 USC. 71 Oklahoma is a tough team. They're a real tough team. 71 Oklahoma and 71 Nebraska sim very, very well. They sim very, very well. And I would say they're a very solid football team. Very, very solid football team. I really think so. USC and Oklahoma are going to play what could be a very interesting football game on Friday, whatever. And Alabama, 2011 Alabama against Oklahoma. Alabama of 2011 is a 1-point favorite over 75 Oklahoma. And we're starting to get into the territory of other games. Nebraska 97 against 85 Oklahoma. That is our night game. Our night game, Nebraska and Oklahoma. That is our marquee game of the week, actually. Nebraska, a 4-point favorite at Oklahoma. The option is absolutely incredible, but they have people like Brian Bosworth. They got a good offense, and Keith Jackson, the tight end. Oh, my goodness. Keith Jackson played for the Philadelphia Eagles. I remember that. It was Clarence Kay of Georgia that played for the Denver Broncos. Always got them mixed up. I don't know why, because their names weren't even close to each other. 74 Oklahoma against 09 Alabama. 74 Oklahoma, a 4-point favorite. Georgia against Oregon, another Oregon team. Oregon, a 2-point favorite against Georgia. That should be unique. You know, that's a game that could really go either way. I really don't know. If Oregon wins, they'll be 2-0. Matthew Stafford doesn't want to go. We already did this one. I got to just find out where I'm at. And that's, okay, right there. That was Oregon. And right now, here we go. The Penn States. This is our first game. 81 Pitt against 82 Penn State. Danny Marino, look at him with the fro. And Penn State, Todd Blackledge against Danny Marino. Remember, this is the year before Dan Marino got really, really good. He got really good. He started in 80. He got really a lot better in 81. And he really shined in 82. We all know what he was now. That's how, Todd Blackledge won a national championship in 82. So you got to remember, that which teams were what, and what teams were good, and we always remember people by the way they are now. Like Dan Marino, Hall of Famer, one of the best ever. He had to grow into that. And he really grew into that. He started to at Pitt. And then later on, he got a little bit better. But that's the thing with him. He didn't start out. He started out very good, but he didn't become Hall of Famer until later on. How about 68 Penn State against 87 Florida State? Deion Sanders for Florida State, 1987, a great cover. But that's the thing. 68 Penn State doesn't really throw the football. You can have all the best corners in the world, but they're not going to take on an offensive lineman ready to take your head off. That's why these spread teams are going to have trouble. That's why next year when we incorporate 2012 through 2020 in the greatest ever, and we put all of them and you have everybody, it's going to be tough for those spread teams like Alabama this year. It's going to be tough. Everybody's like, oh, they're going to spread them out and throw. Well, how are they going to play defense? They're going to get beat up, and they're not going to be able to get any sort of rhythm, and they're going to be very aggressive on the defense. They're going to be very aggressive. So anyway, Florida State and Penn State, that'll give us an idea about how those teams are going. Look at the end zones for 78 Penn State. I always love those end zones. They're 17-point favorites against Utah. Utah got blown out against West Virginia in the kickoff classics. And that was big there. Pitt, now this Pitt team in 1980, that is correct. Take a look at the stats. The defense for Pitt only gave up 33 yards. The offense, gained over 400. Notre Dame, they only had 196 yards. Their defense gave up a lot. Pittsburgh is, I don't know why Notre Dame is a 5-point favorite. I really don't know. It might be quarterback play because of the 8 interceptions. Dan Marino is going to make the first start. He's going to make his first start. That the other guy got the win last week, but, oh my God, 8 interceptions. That's big. Notre Dame of 1989. This is going to be a late game, and it should be really good. So as we take a look at the other games, as we are, here we go. I almost lost it here. We got to go here. I'm using this really for the first time. We're going to go 4, 5, 6. Here we go. The USC's 82 SMU. Now, they only had 33 yards on offense. Think about this last week. SMU, a team that finished number 2, okay? SMU had 20 pass attempts. They were 0 for 9, and they were sacked 11 times. Okay, that's horrible. Oh, dear God, that was horrible. They have Craig James and Eric Dickerson in the backfield. Who knows? Southern Cal, an 18-point favorite here against 82 SMU. That's what we see. Southern Cal, an 8-point favorite against 91 Washington. 91 Washington, a solid football team. They're really solid. We talked about them earlier. We talked about them earlier in week 1 and how they won. Southern Cal, a 9-point favorite over 93 Notre Dame. Notre Dame is Kevin McDougal, if you follow the Spencer Kale League, is the best rated passer in the Spencer Kale League. The best, easily the best rated passer. Southern Cal in the Derby, the 78 over the 76, and a Southern Cal Derby. That one's going to be up for grabs. The 1976 USC team has 8 road games and 2 home games. That's incredible. Syracuse of 87, the team that lost 51-0 to Penn State. They lose 51-0 to Penn State, and now they play 88 Notre Dame, a national championship team. And Notre Dame, Syracuse is a favorite. Well, I can't wait to see that. Is Penn State that good? Is Penn State that good? Is Syracuse, did they have an off day, or is Penn State that good? Seriously, Penn State beat them 51-0. Oh, my goodness. TCU, a 1-point favorite to beat Boston College. That's Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie and Andy Dalton is the quarterback for TCU. That's an even spread game. Remember to put your comments in, and we will talk to the comments. Any questions or anything, it's like a call-in show. Tennessee and Syracuse. Tennessee of 1998, T. Martin. A 15-point favorite over 92 Syracuse, of course, at Neyland Stadium. Anybody that plays at Neyland Stadium, I'll tell you what, that's tough. That's a tough place to play. You got 100 and some thousand. There's more analysis than that. The 98 Volunteers, just a very quick team. Their speed was incredible. They had a wide receiver, Peerless Price. You know, even Al Wilson, the linebacker, was fast. Deion Grant was fast, too. 67 Vols were a very slow team, though. You can see that the 67 Tennessee Volunteers, they're 6-point favorites against 87 Miami. So 87 Miami, again, Neyland Stadium is very tough to win in. If you can win in Neyland Stadium, you're talking about just absolute, that's the epitome of a good football team. Texas Longhorns, Nebraska of 94, they're even with Texas of 05. Now, this is insane because we all know that Penn State and Nebraska meet in the final week of the season, the Dream Bowl matchup. Who should have won a national title in 1994? Well, we're going to find out. You know, in 94 Nebraska, 94 Penn State. They're in the same group. I forget where they play, but first they got to play Texas. And Texas right now of 05, they have Vince Young. And Nebraska, a great option team. Remember, Nebraska beat Miami in the Orange Bowl that year, keeping Penn State from winning the national championship. They didn't even split the national title. They just gave it to Nebraska, and there's a lot of animosity from Penn State for that. 09 Texas and 81 Texas. 09 gets a 3-point nod. Colt McCoy's team. Colt McCoy's team against 81 Texas. So as we take a look here, we go to the next game. These are all games happening Friday night and Saturday morning. Friday night and Saturday morning Eastern time. Blue Holtz's 77 Arkansas, a 2-point favorite over 69 Texas. And Arkansas on our home field looking good. So now, Texas A&M. 94, they're 7-point underdogs to BYU. BYU, Robbie Bosco. Sorry about that, Bobby Briscoe. No, it's Robbie Bosco. Robbie Bosco, 7-point favorite for BYU this weekend against Texas A&M. Coley Pulig. He had a good game last week, solid game. They could not beat 94 Nebraska. They were down 21-16. They're at Kyle Field here. They did everything they could. They really earned their place, but last week they just could not get it done. Couldn't get it done. And now we go to USC, Florida State, and USC, Florida State a 2-point favorite over a USC team They got blown out in the kickoff classic. O.J. Simpson on that team. Notre Dame is 73, a 1-point favorite over Virginia Tech. But when you play in Lane Stadium, oh my goodness, be prepared. Be prepared. A heavy rushing Notre Dame team in 1973. Going to the final 4 games, West Virginia of 1988 against Michigan State. Michigan State an 11-point favorite, but West Virginia is a very difficult place to play. And then when you take a look at the other West Virginia game, 96 Ohio State against 07 West Virginia. Remember, 07 West Virginia was a game away from playing for the national title, and they blew out Utah in the first game. They looked really good. That run-pass option looked really, really good in their game, and they looked very good, and it's just very evenly balanced. And West Virginia and Ohio State, that should be a great game. Ohio State, very good. I remember Sean Springs, Orlando Pace, almost the last offensive lineman to win the Heisman, Orlando Pace and John Hicks, 2 very good ones. Mike Vrabel also was a defensive end on that one. So that is very big. The last 2 games, Notre Dame, 12-point favorite against 1990 Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is at home on that one. 77 Notre Dame is very good. And finally, the last game of the day, 94 Penn State, 15-point favorites against Florida State. I'll tell you what, they're going to have tougher games, 94 Penn State. They're going to have tough games. This could be a tough game. They're at Florida State. You know, this Florida State team, it's going to be a tough game. You're not going to just go into Florida State and blow them out, especially 1999. But 99, remember, against Pitt, they won on a last-second kickoff. But it just, Bob Ingram, Freddie Scott, Kajana Carter, Kerry Collins, all incredible. You have Chris Wenke as the quarterback. Peter Warwick is, but I think the thing that'll keep Florida State in there is Penn State's defense wasn't the greatest in the world. They weren't the greatest in the world. So as we take a look and we finish up the standings so far, there you see what happens is we play the regular season, and then instead of bowls, what we do is A and B, C and D, E and F, G and H, I and J, and then K. We'll think about K, how to match that up. But because they're the 11th. But what we do is we take number 3 in the conference, and they play at number 1. And number 2 versus number 2, the highest ranked team hosts. And then after you play all the games, we take the top 32 voted on teams, and we put them in to the playoffs. So there you go, one of the 3 standings. This is the second one right here. Right, I really think 81 Pittsburgh, that's tough. They're one of the few. I think they're the only team with a shutout. 10-0. It's going to be hard to score against them. And then the very last one right here, the Division I, Division II. We only have one conference championship game. Now, next year when they expand to 128 teams, oh, my God, it's going to be a mess. I'm going to take these teams, cut out the fluff, and then put them in, and that's going to start in August. Well, anyway, when we take a look at these teams, J and K, you take a look at all these, they're all going to have divisions. So what was the SEC, because this is a copy of the 1995 season and structure, they're going to have not only a conference championship game, the winner will be a number 1 and host, the number 2 will depend on the polls, and then the number 3 will be the highest second place team in the division, the highest ranked second place team in the division. So we're going to go from there. We match up. They already know. I and J will match up against each other. So you see J, you see 8 teams here, and they're all 1-0. They're very good. So J's a very good conference, and K, I mean, it's going to be a little crazy. I think K, are they the independents? I don't know. I forget which ones are the independents. But K, we're going to have to think about something to do with K. All right, well, that's going to be it. The Brandon Powell pregame show. I hope you liked it. 48 minutes of discussing the games coming up. Watch all the games on this Friday. This Friday, it should be very good. Friday, this will be East Coast time of 7 o'clock p.m. on Friday, East Coast time, 7 p.m. Well, that's the, and then the late games will be Saturday at 10 a.m. Saturday at 10 a.m. East Coast time. Thailand time, because I'm in the jungles of Chiang Mai. Thailand time, I got to make it so it's a little bit different. But anyway, that's it for us today. Thank you for listening. That's our pregame show. I hope you liked it. We might do it every week. We might not. I think we might do it every week. We are going to see you Friday.